Hello and welcome to the SC Playbook podcast, head of NRL Supercoach round 22, proudly brought to you by Mortgage Choice SCW. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We're here, we've arrived at the penultimate round of the NRL Supercoach head-to-head season. For all the leagues out there, for the draft leagues out there, for most of them, check your settings. The last gasp attempt to make the top 8, the top 4, to get bragging rights with the minor premiership, helping you to get to that minor premiership position. 2019 champion Dez Creek. Dezzy, how are you, mate?
Mr. Williams, I'm good. Sitting around 220th overall, so haven't dropped too many spots over the last couple of weeks, even though I haven't been trading too much. I brought in Nathan, brought in Cleary, of course. So. Can't really go without him. He's just way too good. I had the vice captain on Tedesco, so I was, weighing up whether I should loop him this week.
If only you had some mentor to come in and just stray you in the right direction with that decision.
Yeah. Well, credit where it's due. Timmy did stray me in the right direction for that one. So, I was pretty pleased with the score, 14.75, and that was with Garrick, who obviously got injured. So, still chugging along nicely.
So you've been off for a couple of weeks in a row. You saved a few trades in that time?
Yep. So just used the one on Cleary. So down to 5 now.
Sitting all right, mate. I know there's a bit of a gap, but in a position to strike, I reckon. A couple of loose trades to finish off, and who knows?
Yeah, I think I'd be happy with a top 100 finish from here.
Oh, Dezzy, aim higher, mate, please. Guys, special guest on today's show. A man placed second overall in NRL Supercoach. He's an SC Playbook subscriber. He's also pushing Maxi Bryder for CEO of the WhatsApp group. An absolute gun in it. The cool, the calm, the calculated. Rhys Winn, welcome to the show, mate.
Timmy, thank you for having me. Dez, Matty. Boys, it's it's a thrill to be on here today. The bright lights in this studio are a lot brighter than what they usually are in my living room on a Tuesday night when I'm consuming this podcast whilst deep-throating a Guzman Gomez burrito. Yeah, what a thrill. Look, take this opportunity to shout out everybody that may or may not know anything about Supercoach but is tuning in because my shithead is on the podcast this week. And, shout out the WhatsApp chat, man. We made it, baby.
We made it. We're lucky to have you on here, Winny. And you're a pin-up boy for all those in the WhatsApp chat that if you deliver enough good engagement, you're ranked high enough, you'll get a bait on it. Now, mate, every urge in my body is telling me to call you Winny, but you reckon your old boy's Winny. Yep. You, by nickname, Winner.
Yep, my dad, Peter Winn, who will be tuning in whether he likes it or not at some point this evening. He does have the Winny moniker in our family. So I've called Winner. Is that an omen?
Surely. Winner's way cooler also.
I'll take it. Yeah, it's more Aussie, like an A at the end. We'll call Winner. Call me Tandy, whatever suits.
The risk of getting strife for that one, we'll leave it alone. Obviously, coach of, you can go check the team name. Yeah. Also with us on today's show, Matty the Waterboy. Matty, it's been a few tough weeks. How'd you go on the weekend?
Not bad, actually good. I got mid 1300s, which was nice after. Yeah, what was a tough couple of weeks, but unfortunately just didn't captain Cleary, didn't even think about it, which was so dumb in hindsight. I was watching the game thinking, why didn't I even think to captain this bloke? I just decided to do David Fafita, but it's still a good score. My season, I'm not catching anyone on the panel here, so my season well and truly over, but looking all right now though.
In a rebuilding phase, mate.
I'm in a rebuilding phase. I'm looking towards next year. I'm a bit like Rabbitohs, a bit like Para. Got to look to 2025.
Exactly right, mate. Yeah. For the Cooma Stallions, the hooves are pounding, boys. We're on the charge. 1,455 points, and it felt like my first good week in about 3 months. We actually saw some green arrows, so up into the 12K overall. So look, won't be too disappointed. I got 1455, and I'm like, that's a big score. Most things went right for my team. Got to Sunday night, looked around like the SC Playbook League, and I'm like, how about the 4th or 5th highest score? I'm like, it was just a big one all around. But we're on the up, so hopefully continue those rises going into round 22. Guys, the SC Playbook Unlimited group. Bryce's boys, coached by Blake, is in first overall. Winny, I'm going to call you by your old man's nickname. It just rolls off the tongue nicely. Winny in second place. Mark Barnes from the NRL Supercoach All-Stars is in third. Now, I've got a bone to pick with you, Winnie, because second and third overall, both SC Playbook subscribers, neither of you or Barnesy, you're both active members of that chat, neither of you at any point jumped in that group and crack at winning a free $1,000. Why?
I liken my ability to take instructions like Kale Ito near the try line. Just glitch out every now and then. But no, I think you only advertise it for about 6 months prior to the season. So maybe going to next year, we up that to about 7 months, Timmy.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
But no, it's good to spread the money around a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's one thing. If you come first and Barnesy comes second, you can share that prize money around because you'll be doing all right if you can finish off that well. Anyway, but yeah, Bryce's Boys, coached by Blake, is in top spot overall. Guys, our social media channels, I mentioned it last week, Instagram is still down. We're trying to get it sorted. We're getting closer. A big thank you to those who did reach out following last week's shows, involved in Meta to try and help and getting it back online. We're getting there. We have progress, but we're not back up and running yet. In the meantime, we're going to start posting our NRL content for, hopefully it's only a few more days, but via our cricket channel on Instagram. So go and follow us at SC Playbook Cricket. We can dish it all out through there to stay up to date with all the good stuff, including the team news. Guys, if you are interested in the subscription package at SC Playbook and you'd like to get a leg up heading into head-to-head finals, subscribe to SC Playbook at the website. That gets you extra premium articles each and every week, access to the WhatsApp group, the late mail threads, all the Winnie's good stuff in there. On top of that, you'll be supporting the site and the podcast for all the time and effort that goes into putting it all together. You can do so via the menu on site. I also mentioned last week there'll be an end-of-season catch-up for the SC Playbook subscribers at a pub in the Sydney region. I've got details almost on that. I've scouted out the premise. It's an absolute cracker. So more details via the group to come on that back end of the season. But we're looking at the last Saturday of the season, round 27. So pencil that one down in your calendar. Boys.
Timmy, can I stop you there, mate?
You can, mate.
I've noticed on the screen here, the price has dropped to $30.
It's good, isn't it?
Is that the steal of the year or what, Des?
Seems to be. I mean, I've never paid it, but
You got a freebie,
Desi. I can recommend that people do.
Desi's had a freebie since day dot. Winnie, you've just got yourself an invite back next week, mate, with that sort of chat. The blokes are natural at this. Guys, on today's show, Team List Tuesday analysis. Joey Manu returns for the Sydney Roosters. Do you go now on him or do you wait until after the bye? Our topic for the week, we're going to go one-on-one with Rhys on his strategy in Supercoach, how he's done it all this year. It's a very different methodology to the way I've gone about it, and Desi goes about it, and everyone, very unique. So keen to get in his head about what's worked for him and why he's done it so far to be in second overall. Our hot topics for the show. Is it time to cut Terrell May and May and Isaako? We drop our round 22 trade and skipper plans, then into our listener questions with a special question sent in from an absolutely rattled Supercoach spy who brought in Dane Laurie last week, 50 points in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
By my quick math, he was on track for 200. So the spy, he's had a tough year, but his rank's held up. He's going well enough, but just not a lot falling his way at the moment, the spy. Boys, let's get stuck into Team List Tuesday. We'll start at the West Tigers and North Queensland Cowboys at the 8th Wonder, Leichhardt Oval. Lockie Galvin named for the Tigers. Failed to finish the game last week and was in a bit of doubt. He trained today and on all reports will be fine to go this week. But the big one, particularly Supercoach-wise, the number 4 most traded out play is Ruben Cotter. Copped an early head knock in that game last weekend. 606k, his dual position, averaging 60 points per game. His base has been outstanding over the last 5 or 6 weeks. He's got that high 126 break even. Desi, people are getting rid of him. I think they're a bit short-sighted on that. How do you feel?
Well, it depends how many trades you've got left, I guess. There's definitely better front rowers than Ruben Cotter going around at the moment. Payne Haas and Fanua Blake are 2 of them who I'm very much looking to get in. So I can see why people are rushing to get him out. I think he's only scored over 100 maybe once all season, if that. So, yeah, I can't really fault it, to be honest. If you've got the trades left, I can see why people are getting rid of him with a 60-point average. He's not really going to get you those big sort of scores on the run home in front row, I don't think.
I don't think, personally, front row is the position for big scores. I understand moving someone like a Terrell May to him who, you know, he's great value, his minutes are dropping off, and I can understand that move to a Hass or Fanua Blake. Ruben Cotter, with the Cowboys playing for a potentially top 4 spot, if nothing else, a top 8 spot, he's been playing bigger minutes. I think the 60-point average is a little bit deceiving because of, you know, fewer minutes through Origin period, injuries, particularly the one on the weekend. Unless you've got a lot of trades, I think it's sideways, not sideways to go to Fanua Blake or Haas. It's an upgrade, but I think it's a bit of a luxury at this time of year. How do you reckon?
I think with the FRF, as Des mentioned, it's a fairly low upside position, as we all know. I feel any 5 of AFB, Haas, Barnett, Joey Taps, and Cotter, that's absolutely fine. You know, 2 of them. I think if you've already got 2 of those 5 blokes and then Cotter being the third and you're trading him to get one of those other ones in, I think that's a waste of a trade. You know, I feel that, again, everything's team dependent, right? That's the caveat here. But, yeah, I feel like he's not injured, right? He's out for 11 days. He comes back. He'll do a job for you. If he's your third FRF, then you're in a good spot. You know, if your third FRF's May, like mine, you know, I'm still holding him. Hopefully don't have to use it a hell of a lot. But, yeah, Cotter's more pickable per week than someone like T-May.
And you even look at it and you go, Terrell May, you're right, Ruben Cotter's going to miss a week. I know they've got a bye in a few weeks' time, but Payne Haas and the Broncos have another bye. Adam Fanua Blake and the Warriors have another bye in round 27, which is a very concerning week, or will be. So, look, I'd be holding Ruben Cotter. If you've got a stack of trades, you can maybe make the move, but I think the reality is that the majority of Supercoaches out there are running low. I don't love the move, but...
Sorry, Timmy, just another thing on Cotter. The Cows need to win. Right? It's almost like what we saw with Carrigan and Haas last week, you know, 70-plus minutes for the both of them. You'd think the same happens with Cotter on the run home.
He's not getting rest.
Absolutely not. And, you know, looking at that draw, West, they don't play this week. Bronx, it's always generally a tight game between those 2. Canberra, you know, there's maybe attacking upside there. But the final 2 games for Cotter, Melbourne and the Dogs, and they're going to be, you know, dogfights, right? So you'd think he gets 70 through the middle. And, yeah, as you said, Tim, like that 60 points per game average, that's unders for what that guy's capable of. So he's a hold for me.
Rate the hold as well. Dez Creek, not so much. At the Warriors, Charles Klukstad returns at fullback. Wonderful news for those desperately holding on to Dallin Wateni Zelezniak and hope of a few more tries. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck shifts back to the wing. But more importantly, at the Sydney Roosters, Joey Manu returns, boys. And a player that's, look, every chance of deciding a big part of the back end of the season because those low on trades are going to struggle to get him back in. I think he's near enough a must-have post-Roosters bye. But, of course, the trip to Perth against the Dolphins this week into the bye. I don't think anyone here is going to disagree that he's not a good bye. I suppose my question is, Desi now or after the bye?
He scares me for 2 reasons. Just 1, because it's Joey Manu, but 2, I also don't own Dom Young. And I think that he unlocks Dom Young massively on the outside. You can see that Young's been sort of struggling. Well, he did make a good line break from a Sam Walker cutout ball last week, but he just hasn't been, you know, breaking the line as much as he does with Manu there. So for me, it's who do I buy out of Manu and Dom Young? I kind of put it in the WhatsApp group. I was like, who do I get? It's a really tough decision for me. I think I'm going to have to bring in one of them. And I honestly think it's got to be Dom Young though, because
I'm with you.
His ceiling's just a lot bigger than Manu's, but I can't fault anyone bringing in Manu this week.
Yeah, I think Young's the play just because that massive upside. I had some stats earlier on in the season on just debunking the Joey Manu glue hands myth. He's actually been outstanding for Dom Young in recent years. Winny, what do you reckon? Could you go this week, or would you be happy to wait until after the bye?
I'm a proud holder of Manu since round 4, so great to see him back, especially after Dane Laurie not named today, which is a real kick in the ribs. But I'll give you boys an omen, and Des, this may shift your thinking. I'm on YouTube last night, right? 11:45 p.m. Probably should have been asleep. In the algorithm, guess what pops up? 27 minutes of Joey Manu highlights. You best believe I watched every last second of that. if you're looking at Manu this week, look, he's 1.1% of teams have currently brought him in. You know, once everyone gets home and digests the team list, I dare say that's going up. The Finns, they can leak as well. Over to Perth, you know, he's fresh. If it's between the two, yeah, that's something to sleep on, no doubt. But if you already got Dom and you want to load up on that Roosters right side, I think if one scores big, the other scores big. So, yeah, the more chooks, the better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially with the run after that. It's a cakewalk.
I think if nothing else, make plans to get him. I'm going to wait until after the bye. With a few Roosters in the squad already, I just don't want to be too sort of short on the next week. I've actually got plans for a double-pronged attack at Angus Crichton and Joey Manu in round 24, which is exciting times. Next up, AJ Brimson, 19th man for the Titans. Just one there for Keanu Kinney owners. Last time Brimson was available, he came in at fullback and Kinney went to the bench. The Melbourne Storm, Cameron Munster starts at 5'8". Tyron Wishart goes to the bench. He's done his job. Move him on if you haven't already. And Suafa'alongo moves to the extended bench. I'm just going to see, are we talking about Munster now or later? We'll talk about him now. He's the 11th most traded in player at the moment at 603k. Averaging 62 points per game for the season, a break-even of 149. Desi, coming back from a groin injury, got through about 50 minutes on the weekend, looked all right. With that break-even, I think, wait a week. The Dragons match-up, very enticing. We need to see really how he moves, though. How do you feel?
I mean, I think we saw how he moved. He really hasn't looked that injured to me all season. All the games he's played, he's kind of just looked like normal Cameron Munster to me. Yeah. Obviously, he like Melbourne put on a few points and he wasn't really in them, so that's always the concern. You want him to be, you know, getting a few try assists because he does seem to have that that sort of tendency to go big one game, small the next game. Like you can't really pick it either. He doesn't seem to be. He goes big against a weak team, goes low against a strong team, sort of thing. It seems to be totally randomized if you look back at it. So. Yeah, I guess with the high break even, you just wait and see. And you got to see him start, throwing some cutout balls and putting people over before you get him.
I mean, the appeal is there in the Dragons game. We saw that Penrith did to them on the weekend. The Storm attacking outfit have been relentless this season. As I said, Winny, I think wait a week, get the big price drop. I do want to see him get through another game returning from the groin injury. What do you reckon?
Munster's been a funny one this year, hasn't he? Because, you know, he didn't play until round 5. And all the chat in the preseason was, you know, he was going to be playing at 70% or something. I actually brought him in rounds going into round 8 before they played the Rabbitohs, and he got a quiet 148 that night. So, you know, what I'm about to say maybe slightly skewed by that, but I like the trade. You know, depends on your risk tolerance, no doubt. But you look at that draw, Saints have considered 40 plus, you know, 6 times now this year. You probably back Melbourne to be able to be team number 7. South, so he's already proven that he can go big against. Penrith, you know, that's probably a game you sit in, but I don't know, form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah.
And as you said, doesn't look like he's limping around.
It looks 100% to me.
Right, like that Magic round, you know, it was like he was bloody getting baptized or something. Right? Like, he went like a weird downward-facing dog kind of scenario, but yeah, I don't know. You just back the bloke.
And that's the
player.
If you look at him and go, I want him for the run home, the first thing is he's been out for a long time. The Storm, particularly they're 3 games clear, I think it is, at the top of the ladder.
Yep.
Tyron Wishart was killing it at 5'8". They had no reason to bring him back even slightly early. So he'll be good. He'll be good to go. Should be fine. I sent with the break even. I know if he comes in and gets 120, 130, it's irrelevant and you bank those points. If he does come out and go 30 or 40 again, though, and he's a little bit reluctant, a little bit hesitant coming back, if you can punch out a 30 or 40, there's a big price drop incoming. That money could be valuable. But the Dragons match up, it's pretty bloody good. At the Dragons, Tyrell Sloan returns at fullback, Zach Lomax to the wing. At the Sharkies, boys, Ronaldo Mulitalo out for a month. Sam Stonestreet starts on the wing. This is big because a month out, he could return for the last 2 games, might jag 3, but he misses a key section of the season. The Sharkies have a really soft run home. There's no Nico Hines. That left edge with Braden Trindle is getting a lot of quality ball. As a non-owner, I saw his price going up, punching out some good scores, and I was worried about it because he's very highly owned. Do either of you boys own?
No.
I do, yeah.
You do. What are you thinking, Desi?
I'm flicking him straight to Young or Manu. If you don't have those sort of Roosters centre wings, he's the perfect guy to trade out into one of those guys. He's really up and down, Mulatalo. He could average 80 on the run home, or he could have averaged 80. He could have averaged like 40 or 50. So, yeah, I'm actually happy that he kind of went down, so that I don't have to stress over sitting or playing him each week, and I can just chuck in Manu or Young, who I know is going to be solid every week.
I think for those with honestly even 3+ trades, you definitely sell him. Winnie, could you make a case to hold for the last few games if you were sub 3 trades or not?
No, you have to move him on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so disappointing for owners though,
It is.
who have him. I mean, looking at that, you kind of sat through all these 50s and 40s. Kind of looks like my cricket page, just riddled with 30s and 40s. Never really kicking on with it.
Yeah, right. Just starts, mate.
A few balls have my name on it, all that kind of stuff.
Get a bit too aggressive, but excited.
Yeah, a lot of run-outs. Yeah, but 136, 66. I mean, and then the draw of doom after that. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I think there's just so many other blokes, especially like we've already mentioned Manu.
Yeah.
I think if you got the cash, you cough it up, because you can't hold another bloke for another 4 weeks and miss out on upside elsewhere.
550 odd K, so there's a bit of value there. He was mid 400s for a while there, so you get something out of it. Move him on, see what you can find. Alex Johnston is out long-term with an Achilles injury for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Massive blow for him. Fletcher Myers comes in on the wing. Dane Laurie and James Fisher-Harris out for the Penny Panthers. Sorry about that one, Winnie. And also Rip Spy, who will be hurting from that one still. At the Knights, Jackson Hastings dropped. Phoenix Crossland to halfback. Did not see that coming. Jaden Brayley starts at hooker. A little reprieve for Brayley owners, because he was very happy with the depth in my squad. He was proving a potential headache in that backup hooker slot. Jack Cogger's on the bench, so I don't believe he'll play 80. I'm not convinced Crossland stays at halfback for long. There's a bunch of different things they can do there. But as it stands, Brayley becomes a viable backup hooker for owners. You don't want to be playing him each week anyway, but can do a job there and hopefully keeps that starting spot for the rest of the season. Fletcher Sharp on the wing for the Knights.
Sorry, Timmy, just on Hastings being dropped. That's huge for Ponga, because I feel watching the last couple of weeks pretty closely with KP, Hastings got a bit of ball stopper about him. It kind of seemed to be allergic to shifting it out to him. Plays very direct.
Likes to dummy.
Right?
Likes to dummy
or just
more
feed
than any other player.
Pierce Paul when he's already basically been tackled. Does Ponga overcall Crossland on a few instances? And
Crossland's not going to overthink it, is he?
I don't think so. I think he's going to get out of the way, and I think you're going to see KP cook. So, I'm probably not bringing Ponga in at any point this year, unfortunately, given things we'll get into later. But yeah, if I'm thinking between, say, a Turbo, a Walsh, a KP next week, I'm keeping a very close eye on the shapes that they're running, and just seeing how much more space he gets, because I feel like KP was suffocated the last fortnight with Hastings there.
Very interesting point. We'll do a bit of digging around numbers with Hastings and KP. Obviously, Hastings was there the back end of last season when he fired, but if we're looking at a longer sample size, that Knights team in general were humming last season, so it's a different sort of setup. But Phoenix Crossland, we know, been playing through the middle now for a couple of seasons, tough as nails. He'll be digging into the line. I think you're right. Probably just gets early ball to Kalen Pong. He's not going to overthink that. So
they've got to get it to him. They need to win some games, right?
Yeah. And at the Gendry Bankstown Bulldogs, Stephen Crichton and Josh Adokar return in the back line, centre and wing. Jacob Kiraz shifts back to the wing. Jarrell Skelton and Blake Wilson drop out. I mean, there are a few numbers this year around Jacob Kiraz and moving to centre, and still scores well, but not as well as he does on the wing. I think I'll forever prefer him on the wing just for easy try scoring upside, but 120 at centre on the weekend, and he was just outstanding. So it doesn't matter where he is. That dude, he's going to be very hard not to start from round 1 next year. Unbelievable. You've had him all year, haven't you, Desi?
I have, yeah.
What a gift. Have not been able to get him in. Anyway, boys, let's get stuck into the topic for today's show, and it is a Q&A with Rhys. As I said, a very different thinker in Supercoach. He drip feeds absolute gold to that WhatsApp group day in, day out. So we're going to a few questions that have come to mind for me, and we're going to have a little bit of a chat about it and his team this season. We'll start off, mate. This one actually came in from the Supercoach Spy. Do you have any key takeaways on how you set your side up at the beginning of the year? Whether it's a strategy that you've always had, whether you've tweaked it this year to have the success that you've had thus far, and how do you set up your side?
Well, look, first of all, just regarding the WhatsApp, the real MVP is Max Bryden, and shout out to you, mate.
He is.
Forever in his shadow. Strategy. Kind of halfway through the year, stumbled upon a strategy, which to me was bringing as many high-scoring players as possible, because it seemed as though if you score the most points, you win the game.
I knew you were sharp.
Look into it.
It was the glasses.
Yeah, right. Yeah, these aren't prescription.
The man knows the game.
But I think as a good starting point, it might just be worth having a look at the round one team. You know, there's a few shockers in here, boys, so bear with us. But I guess in the preseason, what I found really effective, and you know, it's a credit to the content you boys put out, was finding the right cheapies. You know, Guru, the CBA class of 2024.
Jeez, I hope he's not listening to this. Yeah, I know he listens to it before beers and break-evens to get himself prepared, so he will have.
Shout out to him. Yeah, a few ones in there. So I think as a starting point, it was really important for myself to find the right guy. I mean, that's kind of Supercoach logic, right? Find the right cheapies. And another thing I was looking for in the preseason was blokes who last year showed a little bit of something, you know, but they were 10, 15 points under what their threshold probably could be. Again, this is nothing new to experienced players like yourself, but you know, the key one that I guess I was looking at there, and there's been 3 blokes that I've kept to my side the entire year: May, Terrell May, Eli Katoa, and Val Holmes. Right, they've kind of been the
rock solid,
the linchpins, right, and just kind of build around them. I mean, started with KP there as well, SJ, Danny Levi.
Interesting hooker slot, yeah.
Yeah, so the hookers was a bit of a roulette early. Definitely not a position you want to be playing roulette this year. But yeah, my starting hookers this year were Danny Levi and Jamie Humphries. Jamie Humphries has actually somehow found his way back into my side after being traded out. But yeah, let me just say on Danny Levi, didn't expect the conversation to get here today, but when Danny Levi went over against Newcastle in round 1, I don't know how to, you know, lose my bond for my rental. I mean, absolute scenes in the living room when that happened. But
mate, Danny Levi, for all the flacky cops in Supercoach circles, we'll do an end of season Supercoach review and we'll look back at the year and teams and all that. He was wonderful through that first 5-6 weeks. The man just kept scoring tries.
He couldn't stop it. I thought it was bloody Ken Irvine for a second. But yeah, so like, look, it was finding the right cheapies and hunting the blokes that are undervalued. But I started quite slow, and then the main strategy off the back of that was to generate cash. You know, at the start of the year, that's what we're always looking to do. So I wanted to cut ties with the dead weight that clearly didn't have that ability. And I wrote down a couple that I had, you know, for the first couple of weeks. Joe Chan, had a look under the hood at him. I was like, is this Matt Dory 2.0? What's
some
what's
people
going on?
Some people are still got carrying Joe Chan at the moment, so good move.
Still hoping. Sam Hughes, the other May.
Matty with a very nervous giggle over there. Sorry, mate.
That's okay. Yeah, Joe Chan, Sam Hughes, redacted May, Pia Cora, Wong. So those are the guys that I saw kind of early, like most of us, and was like, man, these guys aren't making 100, 150K anytime soon. And found the blokes that were going to do that. And for me, that was Kai Pearce-Paul. Just saw that first game. I think he put on 40 in the first, is in round 1. Coming off the bench.
Yeah, 40-minute game, 40 minutes or something, yeah.
And you know, just on him, like, Ponga back, you can just see this happening over the next couple of years where that offload and they'll figure out a way to run off him. And
mate, when KP and him get their timing right,
mate,
like KP to KPP, Kai Pearce-Paul, he's going to explode at some point because he's got the base, he's got the minutes, just cannot drag attack. It'll come and KP could be the man to unlock it. Or Phoenix Crossland, who knows?
It's similar to that left edge at the Gold Coast in a way. You know, I know we're jumping all over the shop here, but Campbell and Fafita. And watching that game even last week, you kind of saw they just can't get the spacings right. They can't figure out where to get Fafita one-on-one with the halfback. But as soon as both of those combinations start clicking, like you'd almost just probably carry those through.
If Forum was with Fafita the last 3 weeks, he has a ton every week. I've no doubt. Like, it's just worlds apart at the moment, those combinations.
No doubt. Foz just loves feeding that back rower, similar to what he did with Hamole against the West Tigers in 2021. How do we remember that?
Good stuff.
That's the AFP at the door saying, what are you talking about? But
what have we got?
So, getting rid of those blokes and then in place of KPP, Finu, Plath, Iro, Blaze. Like, those are dudes that at least personally saw quite early that they were going to generate the cash and that was it, and held them for a long time until they...
Yeah, and so, like, hindsight's obviously a great thing. You've been where you are. You've made some great plays. But you just said you made a point of trying to get rid of the Deadwood straight away and not hoping for an injury in a starting spot. Like, Joe Cham was good, where a lot of people held going, you know, if there's an injury in the back row, he'll start, he can earn some money. He went, nah, I'm not waiting. I'm getting rid of them right now.
And that's another thing as well, is selling blokes... Like almost going early on selling those kind of cash gen fellas. A couple that I flagged here was Bostock, Strange, Willison, Galvin and Smithies. I was happy to kind of sell them when I thought they're at their peak, when they were 150, 175, 200K. Now, Bostock ended up biting me in the backside because he come and done 120 the next week. Galvin then went on his run, at one point. But yeah, I was happy to kind of move early before. It was almost like, all right, sweet. They've got that 70, 80 in them, but let's see them do it again, and I guess cashing out the right time with those blokes allowed me to generate more cash. And so on
and I think the beauty of people hearing this is, man, that's why I love like deep diving into people that are doing well, hearing the errors that you make, because people have got it through their head that to win Supercoach, you have to have a perfect year and make no mistakes. Like you've just said, you started with Danny Levi and Jamie Humphries in the halves. You mentioned, you missed out on a run of Lockie Galvin, of a few other players, Jack Bostock. It's like, no one's going to make a perfect season. If someone has a perfect season, they'll win Supercoach by about 5,000 points.
Let me give you a couple other ones, boys.
Yeah, hit us.
Justin Olam.
Oof.
Bronson Sherry. Actually traded out Galvin and Blaze twice and brought them back in twice. So
swallowing your pride?
Yeah, and knowing what I know now, probably would have been good to hold back. That's probably why I'm in the trade position I am. But yeah, that's going to happen along the way. But I guess the overall philosophy was just, can you get the right dudes in the cash gen to make enough to then put into the best possible averaging players? That was the thought. So there's some stinkers along the way, but yeah.
And mate, let's talk about strategy, because this is where it gets very interesting. You've gone very hard in trades. How many do you have left?
Less than 2. Less than 2, more than 0. One bullet in the chamber, baby.
So there you go. And look, you mentioned pre-show, your depth is good. You've got a bit of money to play with for the final trade. Talk us through that strategy, the decision to go as hard as you have. You're coming second overall, so I don't think anyone could knock it. There's a long time between now and end of season, but if a few things fall your way, you can avoid a couple of injuries. There isn't too much rest at the end of the season. It's what Desi did when he won it. He went hard, he set himself up, and he ran with, it was bugger all trades, left Desi for about 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, I think I had one left over the last 5 weeks. So
Sweat.
It can be done, A lot of it, a lot of people think that you need trades at the back end to win, but as long as you have depth and you make the right sit versus start calls, I think that's the most important thing. That's where you can actually make your biggest moves, captaincy and sit versus start. You don't need to bring in pods per se.
Especially, as I said, if you've got that deep squad, you get those sit versus start options. But yeah, so talk us through the decision just to go hard on trades, and how do you feel about it?
So yeah, I guess my philosophy prior to this year was just getting blokes that I like watching play, and obviously end up finishing 22,000 for the last couple of years. But halfway through the year, I kind of stumbled into this idea of like a power rankings list. So what I do, like after this is probably 10 rounds in, I was like, all right, who's the ideal people in their position? And I just kind of kept updating that list as the season went on. And I was like, for instance, I don't know, say like not a Keon necessarily, but like a Fafita or Nicara, you name it. Like all the dudes we see now are pumping out 75, 80. I was like, all right, these are the guys that I want at some point or by the end of it. How do I get there? And then kind of just reverse engineered the process off the back of that. Yeah, look, I was just burning trades like it was jet fuel on still, if you know what I mean.
It's fun.
Yeah, right. Look into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it was also another thing was just kind of watching the games like quite intently and looking for dudes who, as we were talking about before with, as we were fawning over about before with Karaz, just great work rate. And then also the ability to tackle, break and offload. Anytime you see a dude doing that kind of stuff, it's just like, they can pump out 65, 70 on their day without big
scoring.
efforts.
Yep.
And those are the fellas that was like, all right, how do you get them in? And yeah, it meant bringing in Olam at some point, but we got there.
And that's it, mate. It's like, I mean, I know I always do it, particularly at the back end of the season, but it's not that much work to go, even if you loosely go, I want this bloke, and this bloke within the next month, and just to plan out 2 to 3 weeks of trades. Like, you get to this part of the season, I put my trade plan in the subscriber WhatsApp last week, and I'll do it again this week, but I've got them lined up for like the next 3 to 4 weeks, which is setting up for the run home. It sounds like a lot of effort, but if you go, I want these few, how do I get them? You go, all right, I'll need to generate this much cash for next week, and then this much cash for the following week to get the 2 to 3 that I want in. It's not that much work.
No, it's not that much work, but just be aware that the plans can change very, very quickly. You sit down and you crack open a bloke, watching Manly, a brookie on a Sunday arvo, and Tommy comes and does 175, you don't have him. It probably rattles your cage a little bit, and the plans may change, but yeah, I think, a bit of foresight is good. And then figure out the blokes you want to get and figure out the way to get him in. I guess that's kind of the long of the short of it.
Plans can change and plans will change more often than not. But as long as you've got a guide for what you want to do, and as you said, and how you're going to do it.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. I will say another thing as well that was, I guess, a bit of a philosophical thought throughout the year was just the way that roles would change within a team. We already spoke about Dom and Manu. I feel part of the reason that both of them have been 75 plus averages this year is the fact they unlock each other. Dom has a great sense of space, as does Manu, similar to Val and Murray Taulagi.
Yep.
And they both can kind of sense each other well. They know when to cut inside, whatever. So, yeah, looking at different kind of team structures and then thinking, okay, this bloke is probably unders for what he can do. And then also within the side, once someone's moved from, again, a rookie to a 80-minute spot or like a bench player to an important position on the field, that was really important for me as well. So the likes of Keon moving to the middle, Barnett moving to the edge, Connor Watson, who's actually yet to repay the faith of 2 weeks ago.
Give him time.
Absolutely. But I like it. Hughes stepping up in the absence of Munster. And then Jaden Campbell with the kicking, who, at last count averages 84 across a 9-game sample size when he kicks goals in his career. So just little things like that I'd say is important to pay attention to as well when you see shifts happening in the side.
Yeah, and mate, the other one that you allude to in the group quite often is you look at things like teams conceding averages, points conceded by teams, who scores well, that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. There was a great stat put out by, not Glenn Munsey, who's the sports bet guy, Joel Kane.
Oh, Joel, yeah, sports bet, sugarcane.
Yeah, right.
What do you have?
He put out something, this is before a game a couple of weeks ago, which is talking about out-of-town teams playing, who are out of contention, playing away to teams who are in contention. I think it's like the 0-17, and the average points conceded is 28. That's like the average points differential. So if you're looking at pods, right, if you're trying to figure out a way to look at someone for the run home, have a look at various draws and think, all right, who's playing away, who's thinking about their Bali holiday, and who's going to be there when the whips are cracking, and build around that. If you look into it deep enough, you're going to find a couple of little gems in there. So that's worth playing out.
And the away, like it's not a surprising stat, but it is good to hear it backed up. But it is just so much to consider for the run home because, as you said, if you're out of contention but you're at home, you've got fans who are paying to see you play, paying members and that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have more of a crack. Like, it just is what it is.
Oh, no doubt. And then there's also that thought that, like, blokes get rested. You want to come in and prove a point to like an Ivan Cleary,
Yeah.
or whatever, similar to like, there was a Laurie thought process last
Yeah.
week. I will also say that, you know, what else has really helped and is the WhatsApp chat. Like, hey, you got $30, spend it. You know, get in the chat. The email in there is incredible. The musings of, you know, who someone might bring in might trigger a thought process that then, you know, gets you looking at Jamie Humphries' New South Wales Cup stats before he debuts, and you bring him in. Little things like that. Yeah, any type there's some input from people outside of yourself, I think.
The Spies late Saturday night whiskey jotting.
Yeah, right.
This is also Rhys is not brought on this show to plug the group either, but mate, you're doing a damn good job of it. Desi, anything to ask before we move on?
So obviously you've been at the top end of the rankings for quite a while. How long's it been?
Mate, I went into rank 1 in round 18, and the final buy round 19, was, I guess, thought, can we build the lead here? So, yeah, not long. I will say, though, the Dead Hang Gang, Quinton, he's been in the top 10 since fair dinkum round 8.
Killing it, isn't
Shout
he?
out to him, man. Like, that's a great effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of came for the clouds.
Rightio. So you haven't had to deal with that stress of being up there for too long?
Not at all.
Right.
There's a lot of stress.
Yeah. How do you deal with it? Like I had...
Stand up.
You know.
Stand up watching the games. Don't sit down. It's not
That's it.
possible. There's a lot of emotion at the moment, definitely, throughout the week. Weekend, sorry. Throughout the week, it's fairly calm. You know, you're just looking at numbers. But I guess I'm fortunate that my profession kind of takes out a lot of energy. So Supercoach is kind of secondary during the week. But yeah, make no mistake, as soon as 6 p.m. on a Friday, the palms are sweaty.
Standing up, the bloke tin's cracked, and and you're crossing the fingers and toes. Mate, anything to add before we move on?
Yeah, sliding doors moment. Nico Hines this year caused a lot of issues for a lot of people. That was probably the main move for myself that ended up, it's all easy to say in hindsight, obviously, but I just remember he done his calf, or his Luke Metcalf. I was like, all right, this is one of these injuries that's going to linger. So it came out an hour before kickoff on one Saturday night from what I recall. So traded him to Sammy Walker, who then done a ton the next day against the Wars. Nico then comes back, does a ton against the Chooks in Magic Round, and Sammy does 40. So I'm like, sweet, back where we started. But then after that, Nico did about 185 points over the next 7 weeks and dropped 500K. So that was like a real sliding doors moment, because it allowed cash flow, allowed me to avoid that time he got, I think, a 3 with most people.
And that right there is a large part of why I'm 12,000, you're second.
Yeah, lady luck.
Yeah, no, well played, mate. No, good to hear it, and thanks for the insight, mate. Very, very good stuff. Guys, that miserable time of year has come around once again. Not missing out on head-to-head finals for a third straight season, being the laughing stock of your Supercoach comp. It's tax time. We've got a special call out to any of our self-employed SC Playbook faithful who may have been hit with a tax bill this year that they didn't like. If this is sounding familiar and you're a little unsure about how to attack it, there are plenty of options out there to keep more money in your pocket, especially if you currently have a place of your own. Give Paddy and the team at Mortgage Choice SCW a call, and they can let you know how to most effectively consolidate any tax debt. Usually, it'd sting you $129, but if you mention SC Playbook, it's completely free of charge. To do so, flick the team a message on Instagram at mortgagechoice_SCW, or you can give them a buzz on 02 9521 1611. Doesn't matter where in Australia you are based. Hot topics, boys. Let's get stuck into it. And the number one most traded in this week, Payne Haas, 680K, 86 break even, 72 point per game average. Desi, we've already touched on him a little bit at this stage. I moved Terrell May on. You know what? Let's tie 2 players into this. The most traded in and the most traded out, because I think they go hand in hand. Firstly, would you look to get Payne Haas? Secondly, Terrell May, 624K, 63 point per game average, 112 break even. He played just 32 minutes against Manly on the weekend. Talk to me about those two.
Yeah, I think it is time to move on Terrell May. I think it's, he's not getting the minutes. It's as simple as that. Payne Haas has been the best front rower in the comp for quite some time. Broncos have everything to play for still. I wouldn't count them completely out just yet. I think they could still go on a winning streak and, get into the 8. And if they are going to do that, guys like Payne Haas, Carrigan, Walsh, they're all going to go absolutely huge if they are going to pull it off, something like that. And, just watching him last week, he was crabbing sideways, busting tackles. He's going to throw offloads.
He put in a little grubber at one point.
Yeah, he put in a grubber.
Excited.
Almost a forced drop out there for you. Another free 6 points for you.
What I wouldn't give.
Yeah. I was sitting there contemplating whether to do it. I was pretty keen to make the move on the trade, but I thought, front row forward, is it sideways? Am I wasting a trade on a stupid position? And then the final nail in the coffin was when it was a 4-forward bench anyway, when Sand and Smith dropped off, and I think it was
Tupanua
went to the bench or something, and it was like an out-and-out 4-forward bench. Just went, there's just not minutes there for him. You've got that game on the weekend. Even Connor Watson only played 55, so it's which is a concern for Connor Watson and a big watch for owners, including yourself this week. But Winny, Terrell May out, Payne Haas in, those two, how do you feel about it?
Well, I feel like anytime we talk about, Team A, what a player. I mean, this is his first full season of first grade, and interestingly enough, him and Payne Haas, maybe potentially Cotter as well, they're the only two blokes to play 80 minutes in the front row this year. Both very similar play styles, and the fact that they can run straight, they can crab, they can offload, they can distribute. Very exciting, those two, for the next 10 years. I brought in Payne Haas last week, probably under the pretense that the Bronx would still be in contention and that he'd be playing 70 plus. I don't know if it's now, is it mathematical now? Are we in
They can still do it.
Yeah.
They've got to buy as well. It can be done, but if they lose again this week, you start to worry a little bit.
He's playing 80 this week. All right, bring him in. Workhorse. Jensen, loves tackling. Carrigan loves his carries, but Haas is their main kind of second phase guy with the carries there. So cannot fault the trade whatsoever.
I still like the play, and look, I was the same. I did think I thought they'd put up a better fight than that, if nothing else, on the weekend.
Great game though.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was lovely to see for the doggies. But I just think even if they do sort of fall out of contention in coming weeks, there's too much pride up at that club. Kevy Walters will be under the pump a little bit. I still think Haas. I still think he'll play good minutes. If they're in contention, I think he'll play 70 plus. If he's not, he still plays 55, 60 worst case, and he'll still score well. So, boys, number 2, we've spoken about Jacob Kiraz. You just can't knock that bloke. If you can get him in, get him in. Number 3, Val Holmes at 615k, a break even of 54, 42% ownership, tonned up on the weekend, averaging 75 this season. It's funny, I've owned Val for a long time this season, and I was like, he's having a decent season, but not his best, and he's averaging 75. When you and I both own us, Desi, have you got him as well?
I've got him, yep.
I think initially writing my team analysis article this afternoon, I'd put down, due to his growing ownership, that sort of stuff, that you can maybe look to go elsewhere as a pod sort of move. The more I looked into it, I'm like, Cow's playing for everything, 615k. I struggle to knock the buy. So,
I struggle to knock it as well. 42% ownership. It's the case of Adam Fanua-Blake. He's at 42% ownership as well, and the guy just keeps scoring points. And even if they are 42% ownership, if they're the best player in the position, which Val Holmes is, and Kiraz, both averaging 75, that's the top tier of centre wing. If they're scoring the most points, it doesn't matter what ownership they are. You have to get them in. We've said it time and time again. It's never going to change. It's always going to be that part of the game where there's just some guys you can't go against. And Val Holmes seems to be that guy. Best
in the position for your team, maybe, mate. I've got Dom Young in my side.
Oh, shit.
Quick start on Val.
Yeah.
Murray Taulagi, as we spoke about before, with that Manu Dom thing. Once they've got a certain player outside him, are they better? Val's average this year without Taulagi, 57, 0 tons, which probably explains why he's 615k, because Murray's been out for a little bit. His average with Murray Taulagi is 85.
That's fascinating.
4 tons.
Well, you saw them. You touched on it earlier, Winnie, but those two combined so well, and you alluded to
drink water as well.
He just knew exactly when to drop Taulagi back in, and he would have had probably 3 line hits of Taulagi cutting back through the middle.
They love it, and that drinky right to left as well. Even like Finafuiaki kind of running a good, taking that second rower out of the way. And then look, they play West this week. I mean, that could be anything. That could be a proper fading.
It could be 66-6 to the Tigers. We've seen it 12 months ago.
Yeah, like Val at that price. I mean, you got to have a look.
Yeah, and he doesn't have Stafford told to give him absolute nightmares this year either after destroying him last year like that. Boys, Casey McLean is the sixth most traded in player at 270k, 49 point per game average. His base did drop off significantly after going 40-odd the first two games in the NRL. He was about 23rd, 24 on the weekend, but there's also a lot of points scored. You know, it wasn't probably one for work rate as such. But the break-even is negative 17. Winny, I don't think the ship sailed. I think he's still a really good trading option this week.
Yeah, I feel like he's that kind of final chance at cash generation for a lot of people as well. 270k, you know, what is he, 19 years old? He's already shown he can do 50-odd without scoring, like player of the future, no doubt. I think it's just a matter of looking at the draw with Penrith, and you got to have a look at all of those blokes in that back line, like all of them. Love the play. I'd play him as well if I had him. You know, I just really believe in that side so much. And like the next couple of weeks, what have they got? Para Newcastle this week at home on a Sunday, into Para away. Like, you know, fill your boots kind of stuff. I mean, they can very well put 50 on both of those teams.
Yeah, and, you know, it's similar in some sense that he got his first major attacking stat, I believe, with a try on the weekend since coming into the grade. Being that left centre position that we saw Taylor May struggling so badly earlier in this year, I genuinely believe the dynamic of that team has changed. I've watched it very closely as soon as, since Cleary came back, but I watched it on the weekend. Cleary spent time on the left edge with Luai. Luai was shifting to the right. We had a good chat about it on the Bloke in a Bar podcast yesterday, but Cleary was going out to the left and sweeping off Luai. Luai is clearly more willing to open up and play out wide rather than just stepping off his left that he did earlier in the year. So, Desi, I think McLean will get more opportunities off the back of that. Toto did regress on the weekend despite the points, but Casey McLean, hard to knock.
Hard to knock, yeah. I'm not sure how many people really are looking at cash generation this time of year. But
I think it's more, when we say cash generation, freeing up cash to make trades elsewhere.
Yeah, but like Rhys said, if you had him, you play him because he's playing in a very good Penrith team and they're scoring lots of points. It's as simple as that, really.
It's very scary, though, what you just said, Timmy, about the way that Luai and Cleary are
terrifying.
Are shape-shifting, kind of like reptilians, you know. They're going over this way, they're going over that way. I haven't even alluded to it in the post-match press conference. Yes, I did watch Ivan Cleary's post-match press conference to get a Dane Laurie update. It wasn't good.
What did he say?
No comment.
Not a bit.
No, he played it like a straight bat, but it wasn't named today.
Far out.
That's something that'll keep us up tonight, that's for sure.
Boys, number 14. We'll be quick on this one, but Angus Crichton at 731k. I think touched on him a little bit before. 76 average, 117 break even. Short answer: this week, Desi, or wait till after the Roosters bye?
You've asked me about Angus so many times this season.
That's why I said
it's always the same answer. You know, he's the best. Yeah.
Did you get him this week?
Yeah. Like I said with Cleary the other week when he had a 180 break even, you boys were saying probably wait a week on him. Don't wait on these guys. They're the best.
He's a gun, but he's not 180 ceiling Nathan Cleary.
Well,
he probably could, to be
fair.
I think
he's
can go
close
big
to that, but yeah.
Last year or the year before, he had a monster, so I should retract that. I'm happy to wait a week. Winnie?
Get him in.
You already own him. You'd say get him in?
I don't own Crichton. I actually weighed up him versus Watson a couple of weeks ago, given I already had probably half a dozen Roosters or something like that. Crichton's just another one of those guys, high average, ASAP
That's a
Rocky.
huge antipod for you for the last 6 weeks.
There's some interesting numbers on Connor playing in that hybrid role between 13 and 9. Hasn't come to fruition the last couple of weeks. Where you at, Robbo?
Yeah. Look, not knocking the Crichton bye this week. I just think with the bye next week, and lots of people are, nearly everyone owns James Tedesco. People are buying Joey Manu, Dom Young. There's a lot of Roosters. You add one or two injuries or anything, people can find themselves pretty short next week. So I think wait, but he is the best in the position this year, so you do what you got to do.
Sorry, who's he running at this week on the left?
He's running at the edge of, and this is Joey Manu as well, of Herbie Farnworth.
Yes.
Sorry, Joey Manu's running at Herbie Farnworth, because I looked at that and went, okay, thank God, because if he was running at Avarillo, it'd be horrifying. But Herbie, a good defender, so he should somewhat do a job on him. Angus Crichton on the left will be going at the right edge of the Dolphins, which is
Lemuelu or Kafusi?
Nikorima and probably Lemuelu.
Yeah, you like that. I mean,
It doesn't matter where he's running.
He
at.
just bullies blokes, doesn't he?
It doesn't matter. Like in terms of like the halves there at the Dolphins, whether you're running at Nikorima or Isaiah Katoa, it's a great matchup for a back rower. But boys, spoke about Terrell May, the most traded out. The third most traded out is a very fascinating one this week. May and Isaako at 573k, 67 points per game average, 85 break even. Upcoming games to run home against the Roosters, Warriors, Bulldogs, Storm, Broncos, Knights. It's a very tough draw. I held him last week, and I was thinking maybe one more week against the Titans. Speaking of matchups, that edge had the dream matchup against Jaden Campbell, Dave Fafita, Brian Kelly, Lofi Khan Pereira. Hardly saw the ball. Right edge Dolphins, it's just not happening. They're going all to their left to Isaiah Katoa and that Jack Bostock edge. Desi, I'm really tempted to cut ties with Isaako this week.
Yeah, he just hasn't looked fully fit for the last sort of month. He's been really heavily strapping that elbow. I think 2 or 3 weeks ago he was holding his elbow every time he ran the ball. I just don't think he's fully recovered from it. I think that's the main sort of reason why they're not going to him, just because he's not fully fit. So
he's not. His work rate's down as well. Time in a vacuum, if you don't have Val and you have Isaako, I think it's a no-brainer. That's the same price.
He's just not getting those easy dive over tries where the Dolphins, they used to hammer that right edge. They're just not. It's all going to the left at the moment. So, look, I think he's fine to hold now that he has dropped to 573k. He'll do a job the rest of the season. Great goal kicker, but with the draw, he's very high ownership of that. He's around about 40% as well, I think, among top-ranked teams. I think there's a great opportunity to anti-pod him there, and people are following with number 3, most traded out. And the other big one this week, boys, number 7, Ruben Garrick.
Insane.
Thank you. Yep.
Insane.
Jesse, great.
Insane.
It's 1 week, like 648k, averaging 69 this season. You take out those injury impacted games. Do you know if you have any numbers there? 84.
Yeah, 84.
There you go.
Actually, 83.8.
Yeah, get it right. I can't believe people are cutting ties with him.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, this time of season, he comes back after the bye for a very soft run home. It's just...
Manly have it all to play for.
Yeah.
They could still make the top 4.
Yeah.
Well, as we were saying pre-show there, Desi, like him, Karaz, it's just certain blokes that have such super coach friendly games. Garrick's also goal kicking for a high point scoring side. And if you don't have Turbo, then, Turbo goes big. You think Garrick kind of follows, so kind of lessens the blow.
Speaking of funny trades out, the number 10 most trade out's Tom Trbojevic. Granted, it's not an enormous sample, number of coaches, but what are you doing? He had one ordinary game against the Roosters, one of the best defensive sides in the competition. Don't trade out Tom Trbojevic. He's about to come back and score probably 5 tons in a row on the way home.
That's rattled me, that.
Yeah, I thought I'd just mention it, but we don't even need to talk about it, boys.
Who are people buying? That's the question for Turbo. I guess Ponga. Ponga is number 7.
Maybe?
Number 7 most traded him. I mean, it's feasible. You could do something like Turbo to Ponga.
Actually, I missed Kalen Ponga, number 7.
Oh, yeah.
Boys, 106 break even going up against Penrith. We also still need to see the Knights click. I said new combinations. You've got to wait till next week, don't you? Desi?
It's that time of year where you really can't afford to wait. You've just got to...
Penrith, though?
You've got to start throwing the haymakers.
If you need a moonshot, here's your guy.
Yeah.
Him and Munster. If you're behind the 8 ball and you're just thinking, stuff it, let's just go for a crack here. I don't care if it fails or not. You bring in both of them this week and just...
You'd be hard-pressed to fail with guys like Ponga and Munster. They're just...
I reckon...
They're stalwarts of the game.
How many does Ponga score this week against Penrith?
I reckon he can go 85.
I reckon he goes 45.
Well, there you have it, folks.
Case closed.
Mate.
Who we trust in the
It's
guy
Penrith.
in 12,000th?
Oh, please.
I reckon Phoenix Crossland unlocks Ponga.
Yeah.
And he gets 88.
Yeah, not against Penrith he doesn't, boys. And I'll be picking him up next week at a very cheap little rate. Looking forward to it. Trades and skippers. Now, before we throw to you, Winnie, and you can say whatever you want here, mate. You can say nothing. I don't care. Like, you're the one coming second. You do as you please. Desi, I'll go to you first, mate. What are you thinking?
Well, actually, in an ideal world, if I had the money, I would bring in Haas and Dom Young. But unfortunately, I'm about 2K off that trade. So the options are Haas and Manu or Adam Fanua Blake and Dom Young. So I'm tossing up which one to do. I chucked it in the WhatsApp and it was like,
Sorry, say that again, mate.
it's Haas and Manu.
Yep.
Or Adam Fanua-Blake and Dom Young. And based on the the poll in the WhatsApp, it was heavily skewed towards Young and Adam Fanua-Blake, who are, they're massively highly owned in the top ranks. If I brought them in, it would be a very defensive play. And I'm kind of leaning towards it because I'm coming first in a few overall cash comps. If I want to defend my rank, that's the play. If I want to try and move up the rankings, I guess bringing in Haas and Manu is probably, a more aggressive play. But yeah, I'm really tossing up. It's going to be just flip of the coin for this one.
That's
what do you boys
frustrating
think?
for you.
What do you boys think?
Wow.
It's not a knock on AFB, but their price is obviously getting back up there again. If they lose one more game, look, I don't think they're going to lose this week. And I think they have an easy game next week too. He's leaving the club.
Yeah.
If they're out of finals, he could just get a lot less minutes, especially if they get minutes into young blokes. That round 27 bye, that's a killer for him as well. Mate, that's tough.
It is tough. Yeah.
AFB may be a try-scoring front rower, but Payne Haas, you might get a couple of forced dropouts this week. You know?
Yeah.
Like I said, in an ideal world, it's Dom Young and Haas, but I'm just 2K off the trade.
Can you go Haas and Manu and then look to get Dom Young after the bye and just make plans for that?
I could, yeah.
I'd do that.
I'd be down to 3 trades, and then it would be one of my last 3 trades to bring in Young.
Can't take trades to the grave, mate.
You can't, that's true.
I would do that, and I'd look to get...
And wait on Dom Young.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's ceiling's so high, it's so scary to go without him.
I've
gone without him for about a month now, so I guess one more game, right?
Famous last words.
Yeah, famous last words.
Now, Winnie, would you like to share or not? No pressure.
I've got a bone to pick. It's with you, Tom Sangster. I know you're watching. Listen, I'm sorry about the DMs. I'm sorry about the complaints about Morgan Smithy's ineffective offload. It wasn't credited as an effective offload in round 6. I need you to do a favour though, mate. All right, I'm down to 1 trade. Let's just call it like it is. I need you to send an email to Rupert because I've been trying all the hotkeys that are possible on the website. Nothing's coming back. So I need you to have a chat to your boss. Congrats on the 5th wife at 92 as well.
Yeah.
By the way, inspiration to all of us. But I need you to tell him this: if I win the 50K, I'll offer him a night at the Caesars Palace Hotel where me and the boys are going to be staying. So if you can give me a couple of trades, because they are much needed.
Does Rupert get a spot on the lounge at Caesars, or does he have a bed to himself?
He probably owns the joint, let's be honest. You can have your own suite, mate. You can have your own suite. I'll even put some salts in the bathtub for you. But yeah, in massive need. So Tommy Sanks, if you can pass on that message. When it comes to trades this week, look, like the Spy, I'm a proud Dane Laurie owner after 20 minutes of absolute gold last week. So there's a couple of decisions to be made there. With Laurie out, probably having to look at playing Marju or May. Don't like the Marju matchup. May, already discussed there. So, be a long hot shower tonight.
Tough one.
With a lot of thoughts. But,
Decisions to be made.
Yeah.
For myself, May and Isaako to Casey McLean. I'm going to hold Dallin Watene-Zelezny out for another week. Great matchup against the Eels this week. Play him in that one. Jag 70 with a late try on the weekend. Chan's back helps him tremendously as well. I reckon he scores a lot more than he did on the weekend against the Tigers if Chance was there. And then I'm looking to go Dallin to Manu after the bye. And then my other one, boys, this is the interesting one. Jai Gray, who's done a good little job. He's averaged 60-odd since bringing him in at 270K a few weeks back. Earned a bit of cash. Break-even's about 32. Could easily hold him another week, but he goes Sharks into the Storm or someone really good that I don't really want to play him against. Matty Burton. I've looked at Birdo. It's like I really want a piece of the Bulldogs' attack after the weekend because they were sensational. Burton didn't really get in on the action, but their run home, Raiders, Bulldogs, Dolphins, Warriors, Seagulls, and Cowboys. The Cowboys one to end up round out the season is in Sydney as well. 577K, average 65 for the season. He's dropped in price. He's price is still relatively low from that 16 back in round 16 against the Roosters. Obviously, that's dropped out of it, but I like what the Dogs are throwing up, and he's 24% ownership at the moment. I've looked at the 5/8 swamp for the run home. I've got Dill Brown there. I'm happy with him. I'm going to be trading Dry Gray at some point anyway. I'm happy to run with Brown and Birdo for the run home. What do you reckon, Desi?
Yeah, don't mind it. He's only turned up once this season. That's the only thing. He's been pretty consistent though. Lots of 70s and 80s in there, but I guess the ceiling is the main issue kind of with him. He has that big 147, so it is there.
Yeah.
He's just, I don't know, maybe it's been a bit unlucky, I guess. Sometimes when you watch him play, he seems like he's just close to getting points and then sort of doesn't get them in the end. But yeah, I guess the ceiling is the main issue I have with the play this close to the end of the game and limited trades. But yeah, 5'8", I guess 5'8" halfback. It's not really the position.
It's exactly Mark's point. Not so much not the position to attack. I don't agree with that entirely because I think Birdo does have a ceiling on him, especially if they put on some scores. He's kicking goals. He gets some input in attack, which he'll have. My point is that the 5'8" position, I look at the options there and I'm like, Jaden Campbell, he's over 800k. Their draw gets tougher in a few weeks. Can't afford him. I'm happy to forego him. I think Birdo for 230k cheaper is a much better buy. Tamari Martin got dropped this week. I cannot believe that. That was a joke.
Who's their 6?
So they brought SJ back and Harris Tavita's 5'8". Just put Harris Tavita on the bench. Tamari's been fantastic. Anyway, Jerome Luai's over 800k. I can't afford to get up to him. I don't want to.
Go for Munster.
Yeah. Cam Munster's the option. Cam Munster's the option.
You, mate. He's just looking at you saying, Munster. Pick me. I'm playing Saints this week. I'm playing South next week.
At a similar price.
Jump on. I'm at 2.2% right now.
So Cam Munster's... But then you go through that. Cody Walker, pass. Galvin, pass. Plath, pass. There's no one good in the position. I think... pass. I reckon... You boys reckon Munster?
Yeah, Burton, great, real life, great player. Wouldn't have looked out of place in Origin this year. Just Supercoach game very much like Cody Walker to me. Has to do a lot to score well. I don't like those
Comes down to luck.
Yeah.
Doesn't come down to luck. Comes down to ability, and he's filled with it.
As you said it best, mate. I mean, there's one score over 100 there. And I remember there being a couple of games where he scored a double and then scored 80. I mean,
fair enough. Noted and ignored. I'll make some decisions, but I do like Matty Burton this week. Matty the Waterboy, your trades this week. What are you eyeing, mate?
Yeah, I had everything all planned out, and then Tyler went and got injured, so I'm going to have to do the old reverse. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to get rid of him.
Any skipper thoughts?
Well, I didn't do Cleary last week, so I'm probably just going to do him this week because if he goes big again, I'm not going to be very happy.
He'll do his hammy and scored 20 or something. Fair enough. Desi skips?
Yeah, got to be Cleary. Vice captain, probably Tedesco again if he plays before him.
Yep.
I think he does, yeah.
You don't have to share, mate.
I'm the same. Yeah. A lot of great options, though, this week. I mean, there's a lot of very favourable matchups. Val early playing Wes. SJ? No. Teddy playing the Dolphins. Campbell playing the Bronx. Hughes playing the Dragons. Yeah, there's a lot of... There could be a lot of points this weekend, actually. I mean, looking at some of those setups, but how can you look past the Prince?
You can't. You can't.
Sunday Arvo at Penrith. Bit of a winter chill in the air.
Yeah, it'll be glorious. Cleary for me as well. VC, I mean, Teddy's the obvious one, but, my rank, I actually love a VC going against the grain, and I love Ryan Pappenhausen against the Eels. Pappy, he was one of the... A decent amount of trade him in this week. I don't think he's a trade in. He's getting injections in his foot. Even watch him on the weekend. He was okay, but he wasn't at his explosive best. I wouldn't be moving him in, and I'm looking at, if he doesn't fire this weekend, he did almost ton on the weekend, looking at flipping him to Ponga next week. But I like him as a little VC play and see what we can conjure up there. Now, a few listener questions, then we'll wrap it up for the show, boys. We'll start with one from a desperate SC spy. 7 trades left. One of those is going to be Angus Post the buy, he says. Another one likely to be Sammy Walker in for Jerome Hughes, and the other one for Kalen Ponga. That gives him 4 trades left essentially to do as he pleases for the final month. Do I, 1, get Val Holmes now for 2 weeks with an eye to Manu if trades allow and form warrants, or just get Manu now and skip Val? Manu on the bye next week. Desi, what do you like for the spy there?
I think you have to get Val with that matchup against the Tigers this week. He's a very feasible vice captain. Traditionally, anything can happen at Leichhardt Oval. There's not normally massive scores there. Like,
Cotter and Taumalo out leaves him pretty light on in the middle as well.
Yeah, I guess it's a risk, but I think it's a risk worth taking. The Tigers are just shot to bits, and the Cowboys are still vying for that top 8, top 4 even. So, yeah, I think you have to get them in.
Winny?
Tigers concede a lot of points down their right corridor. That average thing before with Taulagi is a real factor. For the spy, why not both? I mean, you can get both. You can get Val for now for 2 weeks and then get Manu after that.
I'm with you. And he said if trades allow and form warrants, he's got 4 trades. We know the former warrant. It's Joey Manu on the Roosters, so I'm with you, boys. I reckon spy, lock and load option 1. Number 2 from Sam. Is Britton Nicorat to Jacob Preston sideways or worth it for a 100K profit? 7 trades left. Liking the look of the Bulldogs. Oh, Preston was enormous on the weekend. Geez, he can play.
Got a ton, right?
He tonned up. Does he?
Yeah, I still think it's probably a bit sideways. Nicorat's been in bloody good form. Just one game of 40-odd. You just got to expect it here and there. He's been getting very big scores recently, so I don't see why you'd trade out Nicorat at all. If you want Preston, there's got to be another way to find him.
Winnie?
Souths, Gold Coast, Newcastle, Saints, Wires, Manly. That's Cronulla's draw.
Yeah.
It's very sideways, if not probably a step down.
I'm
Love
with ya.
Preston, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Probably someone to chat about over the summer, boys.
Yeah.
as a
Huge
look
for
at
next year.
Yeah, most definitely. But at this point, no, Nicker is your guy.
I know the spy is super keen on Preston. He was tempted this year, but yeah, next year. And I'm with you. And lots of people are selling Nicker this week. One bad week, you lunatics. Hold on to him. Next question coming in from Mudders.
Shout out.
Throw to you, Winnie, for the Mudders shout out.
Whoa,
Paddy Carrigan or Dylan Walker for the run home. 2 very viable options. Like, we sort of know what Paddy Carrigan does. He's also sub 600K, I believe. But Dylan Walker's the one who, he was flagged on Twitter last week by someone. I can't remember who. It might have been Anton Possa. But his numbers since Tohu Harris has been out, even before, he's playing 70 to 80 minutes a week. He's belting them out.
That's great, isn't it? Look at that. Para, Finns, Manly, Dogs, Sharks. Big minutes. Plays a bye. And, purely because of the bye, Carrigan has a bye as well, though, right?
He does, but I think the Broncos like round 24, 25. It's like the round 27 one, that's the killer.
Carrigan in Origin 3, he scored 92 or something in base.
My goodness.
Right? And as we were saying before about the Payne Haas thing and where the Broncos are at, and you got to think that he's getting 70 plus, and geez, man, he'd be a great guy to own.
547K.
For Carrigan?
Carrigan.
Is he really?
Yeah, I don't mind it. There's no upside, but the bloke can still average 75 on the run home. That's bloody good going for that price.
Yeah, that's the price of Mulatalo, right?
Yeah. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Boys, moving on to the next one from Sean Howarth, Jack Howarth's brother. Sell Iro or Marju to get in Jacob Kiraz. Who would you flip first, Desi?
Tough one. Probably if Marju hadn't got injured a few weeks ago, he just hasn't looked the same ever since. I'd still probably sell. Yeah, but we just looked at Cronulla's draw. It's insanely good.
Oh, that's tough.
But yeah.
But the Knights draw from next week is also very soft.
Yeah, right. This is a really tough one, actually. I think Marju's just, got a better ceiling. They've probably got Iro's probably 10, 15 more base. Like, he's going to get you 55 and 60, where Marju's going to get you 40 and 45 if they don't score. That's the difference. But Marju's just got that much higher ceiling, which I've been banging on about too much this podcast. But I think you probably have to sell Iro.
Yeah, I'd flip Iro first too. There's not a lot in it, but it's just, I said, Marsh, if the Knights are going to run on that final month, which is very soft, he could go huge. let's wrap it up with one from David Fleming. Winnie, we'll go to you. Thoughts on Terrell May to Joe Tarpany over Payne Haas? He says he doesn't have a bye and would expect good minutes with the Raiders still in the hunt.
Well, again, it depends a lot on who you already had in place. As we touched at the start of the show, any two of Haas, Tarpany, AFB, Barnett, that's fine. Like if this is you're getting in a third FRF, don't rate it. What was the question? Thoughts on May to Tarpany over Haas? Jeez, mate. Tarpany's going to play every week. Haas is going to play more minutes. Tarpany would be low ownership. Take your pick. I mean, I think they've both got the same floor. Haas hasn't scored a try. None of them scored a try this year.
Haas has got a way better floor.
You reckon? Out of him and Tarpany?
Yeah. Especially at the moment, playing big minutes on the run home.
Good point.
I think Haas is the play for sure.
Yeah, if it's between the two, probably Haas. But if it's a matter of you've already got two gun FRFs in,
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Based on the question, he probably doesn't. Probably Haas, mate.
Well, I mean, I went, to be fair, I went Terrell May to Payne Haas last week, and I had Curran up there and Samuel Afinu. I know Finu's not a star, but he's belting out pretty solid scores from front rower. And I saw enough upside in Haas to do it. So, I got Payne Haas. Boys, let's wrap that up for the Round 22 SC Playbook podcast this week. Desi, thank you, mate.
Pleasure as always. Good luck on the run home, Rhys.
Thank you, Dez. Thank you, Timmy. Appreciate the thrill of coming on here today, boys.
Strong debut, mate. Grateful to have you. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend. We'll be back next week.